The first thing you might notice is that there is no good school within 1 km, so can make money? And I know immediately when people hear, wow, $4 to $5 million can buy landed already. Hi everybody, my name is William from Own This Property and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be covering the last CCR new launch of 2025. This will be Skye at Holland. And in this video, I'll be sharing with you my unique insights not covered by others. And by the end of the video, I'll guarantee you that you have a clear understanding and strategy on whether you should buy or avoid Skye at Holland. Let's go. Let's use our trusty OTP framework to analyze Skye at Holland, and we will dive into the micro factors such as the attributes, the location, as well as the price and profit analysis of the resale properties, including the supply analysis. And then we'll zoom out for a macro perspective on the upside potential as well as the exit strategy. Before I continue, if you like what you see, do reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you at the show flat. Previews start on the 26th of September. And if you just think that Skye at Holland is not for you, not to worry, because I've came up with the ultimate guide to new launches 2025 edition. Do fill up the Google form in the link below to receive the PDF where I rank all the upcoming launches to find the right one for you. Skye at Holland is developed by reputable developers such as Capital Land, UOL, Singapore Land, King Leong, and it will be a 666 unit development. Right at the start, if you take a look at the site plan over here, the first thing you'll notice is that it is a pretty odd shaped land. And while it is odd shaped, you still get that 50-meter lap pool. And the odd shaped part, this narrow top right corner, is where they will actually house the clubhouse and also an open lawn, just to give the whole development a more open sense of space. But if you really want to buy Skye at Holland, it's not for the tennis court, because there is no tennis court. What you're buying is really the views, because the north or south, you will overlook a lot of these landed properties. There's very little high rise in the One Holland Village area. If you face the north, you'll overlook the GCB cluster. This is the Holland Rise cluster. And this is also where the developers has placed the premium 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom units. And if you take a look at the south-facing units, they are not too bad either. You will be overlooking your Holland Village shop houses, and there's also pockets of unblocked views. The distance to the opposite block for south-facing units is not bad. It's about 70 meters to a multi-story car park, which is about 7 stories high. So if you buy above that, you also clear those views. But one negative on the other hand is you look at the smaller units. These are your blue shaded units, your 2 bedrooms or your 2-bed, 2-baths. They are facing inwards, and the block-to-block distance is pretty near at only 29 meters. Apart from the views, the unit mix is one thing I really like, and if we compare it to our next door competitor, One Holland Village, this TOP in 2025, and you can see that Skye has a much better unit mix. Even their smallest unit is the 2-bed, 1-bath, and the small units only account for 55% of Skye's units. On the other hand, for One Holland Village, there are many 1-bedrooms, and a total of 70% of the units in the development are actually your 1 and 2 smaller units. Most importantly, for resale performance, I always stress that we need to find developments that have a long-term own-stay demand. And if you have a development that has just too many small units, this will naturally attract your investors. And because of that, investors, they aren't in the game to be emotional buyers and continuously bid up the price, right? They are in it for a good deal. So in this case, Skye at Holland does tick the box in terms of the unit mix. And here's a quick recap of their side-by-side comparisons in terms of attributes. The good news is that while there is no tennis court for Skye at Holland, very important, even though we are next to an MRT, there's going to be 666 car park lots, so 100% provisions for cars. All in all, Skye at Holland's attributes are really good, and even though there's no tennis court, I think the unique selling point has to be the views. It's not perfect, but it's still pretty good, and I rate it 4.5 out of 5. Moving on to the second factor of our OTP framework, which is location. Skye at Holland's location is really good. We have 2 MRTs. The first MRT is, of course, Holland Village MRT, which is just 300 meters away. And we also have Buona Vista MRT, which is about 600 meters away. Amenities are abundant over here, and what I really like about Holland Village, that even though we are in the CCR, you have that good mix of your local hawker fare as well as your upmarket restaurants. So you are surrounded by 3 hawker centers. You have Ghim Moh, Holland Drive, and then Holland Village Market. These are 3 hawker centers within walking distance. And then you also have your new shopping mall. This is One Holland Village. This will have your CS Fresh and F&Bs, restaurants. And if you go further down the road to the shop houses, you also get that good mix of restaurants and cafes. On to the school options, and the first thing you might notice is that there is no good school within 1 km. So can make money? Henry Park, unfortunately, is only within 1 to 2 km of Skye at Holland, but we also need to take note of this location. Different locations have different buyer pools. And Holland Village, I think, has always been a place that targets 2 key buyer groups. Now, the first buyer groups, these are your aspirational, maybe a bit more affluent buyers who just don't really value primary school, right? They value other things such as having a good location, an MRT, amenities, shopping mall. They might even have no kids, right? The second group of potential buyers, these are actually families whereby the kids are already older. You also realize that the husband and wife, they are probably also older and hence their income is higher. They are looking for their next long-term own stay. Primary school just isn't really important to them anymore. And Holland Village ticks the boxes for such buyers because if you take a look at the map over here, education is still abundant over here from secondary all the way to tertiary. Skye at Holland is within close proximity to this educational belt. Hence, I think that the location really ticks the boxes that we want. Of course, it's not perfect because it lacks that 1 km top school, but I do rank it highly at 4.5 out of 5. If you watch through this part of the video and just think that Holland Village is not the place for you, not to worry because I have the ultimate guide to new launches where I rank alternatives. So do fill up the Google form link below and I'll be happy to share that PDF with you. Moving on to the next factor of our OTP framework where we deep dive into the numbers. If you take a look at the comparables over here, just focusing on the Holland Village Central area, we realize that we only have Skye at Holland, One Holland Village Residences, and the really old Mera Saga. So I do get a lot of questions, how does this actually compare to properties in the Farrer Road cluster? So for comparison's sake, even though they are not really kind of similar in that sense, I've also added the Farrer Road area. So this is your Hill on Holland, Leiden Green, Leiden Residences, Parvis, and De Leiden. First up, let's take a look at the profitability, and overall the annualized returns over the past 2 years, I think they have been pretty decent. There's also that common observation that we see over here whereby the larger the units, the higher the annualized returns. In this case, the 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms are doing better with returns over 4%, and that's really good. Now, Skye, the area, again, we don't really have good comparables. So I do have confidence that because we are the best development in Holland Village Central, the lack of competition will also help us in the overall profits in the long run. Next, the rentability of the area, you can also guess that it's going to be really good because we have the MRT and it's very centrally located. One Holland Village, even though it just TOP this year, out of the 296 units, we already have 181 rental transactions. So I don't really have the rental yield numbers here because there is still no sale transaction to calculate that. But if you take a look at the overall rental yield, in the Farrer Road area, we realize that, hey, they are actually slightly lower and this has contributed to an overall lower average. The key reason, again, being Farrer Road properties, most of them are freehold in nature and freehold properties in general do have lower rental yields. If we zoom into De Leiden, which is the only 99-year property over there, we realize that De Leiden has higher rental yields. So I do think that Skye at Holland, it will have rental yields better than the average of the whole area just because it's not freehold. And if you take a look at De Leiden's example again, getting more than 3+% rental yield seems pretty fair. Next, let's use our signature price gap analysis to see whether Skye at Holland is fairly priced. Before that, in arriving for my estimate for Skye, you might have heard other videos or your agents or others saying that, hey, One Holland Village Residences already transacted 3.7k per square feet. Well, factually that's true, but if you take a look at this chart, I think it's an anomaly. You will also see that this 3.7+k per square feet transaction is the same unit subsale and within the 3-year seller stamp duty. So all in all, I think that the current units on sale, you can see that they are roughly asking about 3.1k per square feet. Factoring all this, my estimate for Skye at $3,150 per square feet. I've referenced also recent CCR launches such as River Green and Upper House. And because the developer's guide pricing is not out yet, do like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll update the developer's latest price guide in the comment section below. Note that I've adjusted the PSF of the resale properties higher by 5% to account for URA harmonization. So what I've done over here is that we take the price difference between Skye at Holland and the resale, and we divide that by the age gap to find the premium or discount PSF per year. So overall, if you compare Skye to the resale in the area, on average, the premium per year is only $26 per square feet, and that is really low. Hence the narrow price gap, and assuming that Skye at Holland launches averaging at about $3,150 per square feet, I think that it is a very safe entry price. And while the profitability, rentability might not be perfect or the best numbers that we've seen, do stay tuned to the end of my video where I'll cover the upside potential and show you why Skye at Holland does outshine the resale comparables nearby. All in all, I rate it 4 out of 5 for this factor. Buying a new launch can be very stressful, especially on booking day. What floor to buy, what facing to get is the developer overpricing this particular unit. For every new launch, I will share with you my OTP launch day guide where I can definitively tell you which is the unit you should buy, what are the units to avoid, and what is the walkaway price. This is all based on my 7 years worth of experience. On launch day, you need somebody to work with you to keep a level head, objective mind, and prevent you from FOMOing. So if you think that we are a good fit together, do reach out to me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share more with you over a one-on-one consultation. Next, let's move on to another signature OTP analysis. This is our supply analysis. This is where we take the total number of units on sale divided by the total number of units even available in that area. The lower the ratio, the better. For the 2 bedrooms, we arrive at a supply ratio of 11.5%, which is not great, but you will notice that there's quite a bit of supply coming from Hill on Holland as well as Leiden Green because they just TOP not too long ago. So a deeper look at the listings, I also noticed that there are quite a few duplicates, tenanted units or units asking pretty high price. So this number do have to take a pinch of salt. So if you exclude these 2 developments, the supply ratio is actually much better at only 4.9%, which is really good. And if we zoom into One Holland Village, we have 145 2-bedroom, but there are only 11 units on sale at the moment, reinforcing my view that the supply situation in the One Holland Village cluster is very tight. For the 3 bedrooms, the supply ratio does get better at 6.2%, and this time Hill on Holland and Leiden Green aren't the culprit for the higher supply ratio. It is actually the 3-bedroom listings at De Linden. Now, De Linden is a mega development. There are a total of 754 3-bedrooms, even more than the total number of units at Skye and Holland combined. While I do like De Linden as a resale development, there are some inherent issues with the 3-bedroom layouts. If you take a look at the layouts, just check out, there's some weird angles, a lot of bay windows, a lot of planters. The actual livability and usability of the space is pretty poor. Lastly, if you take a look at the 4 bedrooms, now this is very surprising because there is an even higher supply ratio of 13.9%. Again, if we dive into the numbers, yes, Leiden Green does contribute a little bit more units, but Leiden Residence, which is a pretty old resale, does have a lot of 4 bedrooms on sale. And again, De Linden is the culprit, contributing 54 or almost 10% of the total supply in the area. If we zoom into the Holland Village central area, we'll realize that there are no 4 bedrooms on sale at the moment, which again reinforces my view that the exit strategy for the larger units for Skye at Holland is going to be pretty good next time. On balance, if we just focus on the Holland Village central area, the supply ratio, the supply situation is very good. But if we expand the radius to the fairer area, then the supply ratio does turn out to be a little bit poorer. So all in all, it's not perfect. I do rate it 3.5 out of 5. Before I go on to the final part of the video, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank all the viewers out there that have reached out to me and eventually became my client. Now, these videos, I do take a lot of time. I spend days just to come up with this analysis, and they are my own research. This is not something that I use ChatGPT to churn out a script in just minutes, right? So please continue to support me, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you think that we are a good fit together, do reach out to me on WhatsApp. Let's finally look at the last factor in our OTP framework, the upside potential and exit strategy. And talking about the supply and resale comparables, it is very important to compare Skye with our immediate neighbor and competitor. This is One Holland Village Residences. Now, apart from having the better unit mix, you also see over here that Skye, it does have that great quantum advantage over One Holland Village. So even if Skye were to price at a higher average PSF, right, there's still quite a gap in terms of the price between us and One Holland Village Residences. So over here, the 2 bedrooms, if we compare it to One Holland Village, which is pre-harmonized, Skye's 2 bedroom plus study in the middle, yes, it's smaller on paper, but it definitely packs even more usability and space. So not only is it dumbbell, it can fit a study, but it also has an enclosable kitchen that is tucked away. On the right side, you will then see One Holland Village suffers from a few problems. They always have huge balconies, and Skye, you can see that the balconies, they keep it sensible. So full marks across the board for Skye over here, and assuming a PSF of $3,150 per square feet, the quantum of Skye's 2 bedroom plus study is even lower than the average asking price of One Holland Village right now. Hence, this is a great example of quantum advantage, how we can enter a new launch at a cheaper or better price than the resale nearby. The same story applies for the 3 bedrooms over here. On paper, Skye's 3 bedroom premium is 1,076 square feet, which is smaller than One Holland Village 1,098 square feet. But again, because it's harmonized, the availability is higher. You get a home shelter, a sensible balcony space. But what I really like is the dining area. You can see that there's a very good space along with a dry kitchen. Versus One Holland Village on the right, you can see that it's actually a pretty cramped dining and kitchen area. Most importantly, check out the master bedroom. Definitely the resale buyers next time, they will prefer that larger master bedroom at Skye at Holland. Moving on to the 4 bedroom with private lifts, and again, it's on paper smaller than even the One Holland Village's 3 bedroom premium with the private lift, but again, it packs a lot more functionality and livability. One Holland Village again suffers from that huge balcony space and it has a pretty small master bedroom. While the 4 bedroom at Skye, there's very little wasted space. You can see that the private lift foyer is also much better placed, whereas for One Holland Village, you have a huge walkway foyer area for the private lift. Skye at Holland also has that 2 premium units that are north facing. This will be overlooking your unblocked GCB views. So in these premium units, you will get that landscape living and dining area, even bigger master bedrooms, and the kitchens also have a very nice kitchen island. Now the 4 bedroom premiums with private lifts, they are about 1,464 square feet. So they will average at about $4.6 million. And then the largest layout, which is your 5 bedroom premium with private lifts, these are 1,765 square feet. They will average at about $5.56 million. And I know immediately when people hear, wow, $4 to $5 million can buy landed already. Well, that is factually true. Buying a property is a balancing act between not just your budget, but as well as your size, location, schools, amenities, and all the attributes that are part of our OTP framework. So if you have $5 million, can you buy a landed property in this area? Well, the cheapest is actually the Fort at Holland. This is about $5.5 million. But for the normal landed properties, they are easily above $10 million. So buying a condo next to amenities, spectacular views, and brand new at half the price of the landed, I think that's actually quite a big buyer pool out there for the large units at Skye at Holland. In fact, many of the landed property owners surrounding Skye at Holland probably are the future buyers. These are your downsizers or right-sizers who just felt that landed, climbing up and down, the maintenance is just not for them already. They can cash out at 10 mil, right size to a $5 million 5 bedroom. So I think that this is a great alternative for them. Lastly, entry price is still the most important thing, and from a macro perspective, this is something that I've repeated multiple times in my past videos. The price gap of the CCR to the OCR and the RCR has been the narrowest it's been in more than 10 years. So eventually when you go to the resale market, people might think that I spend about $200,000 more, hey, why not, right? So if anything, the risk to reward ratio of buying into the CCR today has been the best it has ever been. And as we approach the end of 2025, I think that the window of opportunity for buyers out there is also closing soon. If you take a look at how the developers bought the land, I have to stress that getting the land cheap here does not mean that the developer will sell cheap. They will still be selling at prevailing market rates. But at least there will be some downward pressure to their selling prices. They also cannot price aggressively. So if you take a look at some of the 2026 new launches, you will see that the land price is much higher than the options that you have today. Most notably, Chuan Grove, Bayshore, which is in the OCR, they bought their land even more expensive than Skye at Holland, as well as the recent launches such as a Promenade Peak, River Green, as well as your upcoming launches like Zion Grand and Penrith. To round off our OTP framework analysis, the final factor, which is for upside potential and exit strategy, I rate Skye at Holland a 4 out of 5. In conclusion, who should be buying Skye at Holland? Well, on the own stay end, I think that this is a location that has everything you want, from MRT, amenities, and schools from your secondary all the way to the tertiary level. We just don't have that top primary school within 1 km. So that shouldn't really deter buyers, because I do envision that the buyers over here, they are more aspirational. They don't really prioritize primary school, and they also tend to be a bit more affluent. Their kids are also much older, so they are looking at different things. Right? I also like that Skye, you have that USP of unblocked views in a low density area. Just a very different vibe, right? If you're buying a CCR property, you'll probably be comparing this to the upcoming River Valley developments. So it have a totally different vibes in terms of your own stay. So for investors, I think that all these things will benefit our exit strategy, especially the lack of competition in the area. We only have one Holland village to contend with, versus if you go to River Valley, there are more launches in these few years. While there are some HDVs literally building across the road from us, I don't think that Skye at Holland will attract your immediate HDB upgraders. This will definitely not be as strong as, for example, the upcoming Penrith at Queenstown. The final quarter of 2025 will have many exciting opportunities. Apart from Skye at Holland, we also have Faber Residence and Penrith coming up. And then we have Zion Grand at Havelock MRT, as well as The Sand, which is at Upper Bukit Timah. So if you'd like to find out more about all these developments, do reach out to me on WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to sit down with you for a personalized plan over a one-on-one consultation. And with that, I've come to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.